Good evening and welcome to the Clayton Center. Tonight is another edition of Art at the Clayton Center. We are very pleased this evening to have two mostly self-taught artists. And I'd like to introduce you to the first one now, Lynn Frye. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you so much.
This is beautiful work that you have here tonight. We're so glad you could join us.
Thank you so much.
And support the Clayton Visual Arts.
Thank you.
You work at the Johnson Community College.
Yes, I direct the Arboretum there.
And you have an interesting title in your name. What is that word?
Thank you. I am a working ethnobotanist, and that is someone who studies people-plant relationships, the cultural aspects of how people use plants in medicine, folklore, symbolism, food, shelter, clothing, and the like.
Well, that's very interesting, and that's a new word. I had not been exposed to that one before. You were born in Brooklyn, New York.
I was.
And you lived on Long Island.
I did.
And then you left. How did you end up in Clayton, North Carolina? Or actually, you're from Oxford.
I'm from Oxford, but I've worked in Smithfield for 11 years. So my first husband we were married. I went to Germany with him, fell in love with rural living in the countryside, and when we came back, I wanted to get away from the city. So we drove around New York State, found Elmira, New York, loved it. We had a bad hurricane, people's houses flooded. And so from there, he did a good job putting people in their homes, moved to South Carolina, Easley, South Carolina. From there, we moved to Charleston, which I loved. And then my graduate work was at UNC, and I had to come back. I loved it. So I stayed in North Carolina.
That would do it.
It would.
Well, now, I read that when you were in Charleston, that you did something at the Citadel.
I did.
I thought Citadel was an all-men's school.
It was, but my botany professor, Dr. Richard Porcher, was the botany professor there, and I used to take weekend classes, night classes, and summer classes where they allowed women. That was even before they turned into co-ed, so that's how long ago it was.
Well, that had to be interesting.
It was.
I had the privilege of going through that campus. That is something to see. If you get to Charleston, if you've not been there, go tour the Citadel. So you got your BS at Charleston?
And I got my BS at the College of Charleston, which is now the University of Charleston.
Okay. And then you came to Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, and did my graduate work, and did all my study for my dissertation, but didn't finish it.
I see. Well, your paintings reflect a lot of things that I think of as botany. We have close-up flowers. We have plants. There's all kinds of things over there. It's beautiful. But I understand you haven't been doing this for a long time.
Not very long. There were three things my children always told me not to do. Don't ever sing, and I'm not allowed to do that anywhere, not even in the shower. Don't give directions, because I'm very poor at that, and don't ever draw. And so I decided after 55 years old that I had to do one of them and prove them wrong. So that was the one. And so I started learning to paint and to draw about 7 years ago.
How many pieces do you have here tonight?
I have 18 pieces here. I have 10 pieces in Oxford, hanging in Oxford. And I have a short number at home. So it's been a very good season for me, and we've sold quite a bit.
Well, I understand you're retiring soon, so you'll have a lot more time to paint. Is that what you're looking forward to?
I am, very much so.
Great. Like I said, everything is watercolor. And why do you like to paint with watercolors?
I love the way the light shines through the paint. There's a little bit of light, a little bit of pigment, a little bit of water, and the way it flows. And if you paint it just right, you're able to capture that special light that gives everything shape and form and shadows. So I really love the qualities of the watercolor paints and the watercolor paper.
We've had a wonderful reception here tonight, and I was really impressed with the number of people that are here from Oxford. That's a pretty good hike. So that's a tribute to you, that's for sure. I think you said where you have all your paintings. Is there any place else that we could go to see your paintings?
Actually, most of my a lot of my paintings have sold, and so I have paintings in France, Germany, Italy, England, and throughout the U.S.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's a great honor. It really is.
Well, congratulations on this wonderful work.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for participating with the Clayton Visual Arts show. And I hope we'll come back again sometime.
Thank you. And thank you, Larry, for all you do for Clayton. Thank you for making me feel at home in Clayton.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for being my home for 11 years. Thank you.
Hello. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce you to some of the people who I work with at Clayton Visual Arts. Most of you probably don't know, but we are a 501c3 corporation, so we have bylaws and we have rules that we have to go by, which means we also have an election each year. So we had an election in May, and July 1st, we'll have all new, well, not all new, but we will have new officers. And I have 3 officers here with me tonight, and I'd like to introduce them to you. My vice president isn't here, unfortunately. Her name is Kathy Nobles. This lady is our excellent secretary. You want to read minutes, read her minutes. She writes everything we say. We don't get away with anything. This is June Leo. I don't know why I have trouble with that. It's French. Leore, right? Leore. Okay, this lovely lady is my wife. She's the treasurer. This is Linda Strevig. And right here is the past president from last year. This is Janie Preet. The past president stays on as a member of the board and an officer. So that is our board of our officers. And then this is Joe Tucker. Joe Tucker you will see a little later in this show because she is showing her work here this evening. The rest of the board members, we have 9. There's a total of 9 of us. Some of them were here. They had to go. But anyway, it's a 9-member board, and I'm looking forward to working with them because they've asked me to come back, and I'm the president-elect. I will be the president again next year. I was the president about 4 years ago, and they've drugged me back in. Anyway, thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you. This is Joe Tucker. Joe, thank you so much for coming to the Clayton Center and bringing your beautiful work here. Joe, unlike the last artist that we spoke to, is mixed media. First of all, how many pieces do you have here tonight?
I've got 25 pieces.
25 pieces. You were born in England, but you came here like 1 year old, and you've lived in Four Oaks ever since. Now, I understand that most of this work has been done just in the last couple of years, that you are late coming to this. You're a retired school teacher. Where do you paint? When do you paint? And how do you get all of this work done in like a year's time or 2 years' time?
Well, I was a school teacher, so I was used to working real hard, and I'm just having a ball now. Not that I love teaching, and I really miss the kids. But I'm just having a ball, and I get up in the morning after my husband leaves. at about 8 o'clock, and I start painting, and sometimes it'll be 3, and I go, oh gosh, it's 3 o'clock.
Well, that shows dedication. You've obviously found something you really like. You said that you taught for years. People will probably be interested to know, where did you go to school?
I graduated from high school at Four Oaks, and then I got my BS degree at Campbell University, and then I got my master's degree at Campbell University.
So Campbell gets another plug. Where did the artist bug come from?
Well, from my mother's side of the family, my mother's very creative. She sewed when I was growing up, and I helped her design things, and she is a wonderful designer with gardens, and she never painted, but she designed, so I got that artistic side from
So is she proud of you? Does she like this work? Is she amazed?
Oh yes, she bought something
Really?
from me, and she had me paint all the grandchildren. She found a picture she liked, and she wanted me to get all the grandchildren and do their little faces when they were like 2.
That's nice.
So I did that for her.
Well, be careful, because in our family we have quite a few artists, and they hand it out for free at Christmas time. So every year we usually come back with 3 new pieces of work. Every year my wife gives 3 or 4 pieces of work away, and keep getting that paycheck. That's good. The mixed media here. Tell us all the different things you paint on.
Well, I use all the different medium. I use pastels and watercolor and acrylics, and I have painted oils. I don't have any oils here tonight. Actually, that's what I really started painting in, was oils. Mm-hmm. But I found out last year I took an acrylics class, so all these acrylics I've just done or learned how to do in this past year. And I'm an explorer and experimenter, and I'm not scared to try new things. So I've jumped in and I've combined acrylic and pastel. I've combined watercolor and pastel. I even combined acrylic and tissue paper. So I just am experimenting and having a ball.
I saw the work on tissue paper, and I just couldn't imagine it. I got as close as I could to it, and I still don't understand how you do that, but it's pretty amazing. Is there someplace else we can go to see your work? You have it displayed somewhere?
The hospital, Johnston Memorial Hospital, has some of my pieces.
In Smithfield.
In Smithfield, and also the ballet studio, I think it's called Ames, Artist in Motion. She has 4 pieces of my ballet dancers. And right now I have a show, or I will be displaying my work again in July at the Bistro. So
Bistro
in Smithfield.
Smithfield, of course. Well, this is a wonderful show, and we really appreciate you bringing it to us. I guess another year you'll have another whole show you can bring, entirely different. So we'll look forward to doing that.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the Clayton Visual Arts allowing me to do this.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Art at the Clayton Center. Next month, we have a fantastic show, and a lot of you will know these 2 artists. The first one is Doug Strickland, and the other one is Dan Lee. Doug Strickland is an old supporter of us. When I say old, I mean he's been supporting us for 6 or 7 years, us being CVA. Doug has a tendency to get into our art competition each year in September, and the piece of work that he brings here usually wins or comes in second, and then he takes it to the state fair, with the same picture and wins there also. And at least twice that I think, he has won best at the state fair. And it won here also. So we're happy to be affiliated with Doug Strickland. He's a great supporter. Dan Lee is similar. I refer to the two of them as the Norman Rockwells of Johnston County. Dan has won one contest with us. Both of them have paintings here in the permanent collection in the Clayton Center. Dan did a painting of the entrance, western entrance coming into town. Beautiful. It's basically an overpass on Highway 70, but you have to see it. It's very, very nice. The piece that Doug did was the women's club here in town. It's a historic building, and he entered it into a competition of places in Clayton, and he won that contest. So we're very thrilled to have both of them coming next month. The show will be hung on July 2nd, and then the reception will be July 5th, first Thursday every month. Write that down so you won't miss art at the Clayton Center. Thank you very much.